I didn't argue when she slapped the fluorescent orange notice onto the console of my boat. I didn't raise my voice when she leaned over the gunwale and told me in a tone that sounded practiced that I had exactly 48 hours to remove the abandoned vessel or face a $500 per day fine from the homeowners association. I just watched her. The late afternoon sun caught the laminated tag on the fiberglass. HOA violation. Unauthorized watercraft. It was tied neatly to the cleat with a plastic zip string. Then I reached into the waterproof sleeve inside the helm and pulled out a copy of the federal registration. I set it on the console, flat and smooth, right beside her notice. It sat at the end of a narrow inlet where the river curved away from the main channel, a sleepy stretch of water lined with cattails and old cypress trees. I'd spent most of my adult life in uniform, surrounded by noise, engines, shouting, urgency, and chaos. What I wanted was something simple, a quiet back porch, a steady rhythm, a place where the only checklist was whether or not I de-watered the small vegetable garden along the fence line. The boat had only arrived 6 months after I moved in. It wasn't flashy, it wasn't fast. It was a retired U.S. Navy patrol vessel, stripped down and transferred legally through a government disposal program for training, demonstration, and educational purposes. Notice of violation, visual nuisance, and unauthorized structure, water-based. At first, I honestly thought it had been sent to the wrong address. I reread it twice, then a third time. I walked outside and studied the boat from different angles, like I had suddenly forgotten what it looked like. The wording irritated me more than the accusation, visual nuisance, as if something existing minding its own business was offensive by default. I drafted a polite email explaining the situation, attaching my registration documents, my deed showing riparian rights, and the transfer papers from the Department of Defense. Instead, 2 days later, I received another notice. No explanation, no acknowledgement of my attachments. My documents had apparently disappeared into a void where logic went to die. I attended an HOA board meeting the following Tuesday evening. We are attempting to preserve the visual integrity of our community, she repeated. It sits on my private waterfront, I said calmly. The HOA does not own that water or that dock. Federal registration supersedes HOA aesthetic ordinance. Her eyes flicked up to me then, expression tight. The notices became weekly, then bi-weekly, then daily. Each more threatening than the last, liens, towing, forced removal, potential foreclosure for ongoing noncompliance. I stopped replying emotionally. I stopped trying to explain or educate. Instead, I started compiling. I pulled the original plats from the county clerk's office. I requested waterway demarcation records from the state. I ordered a new land and boundary survey, confirming riparian extension and docking rights. I recorded HOA meetings. I photographed every posted violation. I documented the dates and times of harassment. That's when I realized they weren't bullying me. They were building my case for me, which brought me back to the dock, to the orange notice, to her rigid posture, to the second where her authority finally met something larger than itself. On the console lay the documentation, clear as daylight. The vessel's registration as federally transferred military property. The penalty section highlighted in pale yellow. "We'll need to run this by our attorney," she said quietly. Along with a copy sent to the Justice's Department Property Division and the Department of Natural Resources. For the first time, she looked human. 2 weeks later, the fines vanished from my account without comment. 1 month later, the board quietly removed the aesthetic ordinance regarding watercraft. 3 months later, the president resigned for personal reasons after an internal investigation revealed misuse of HOA funds for legal intimidation efforts. The water is the same, the herons are the same, the rhythmic knock of the boat against the wooden dock is the same sound it has always been. The only real change is the silence from the HOA. Complete, absolute, peaceful. Sometimes I'll run my hand along the helm and feel the faint indent where that bright orange notice once rested, the only mark left behind. They wanted me to move it. They wanted to remove history because it was inconvenient to their sense of control. Instead, they learned a quiet, expensive lesson. Some things don't move just because you tell them to. And some of us don't raise our voices because we don't have to.